Hi, and thanks for inviting us here today to share our passions about MEDA. I'm going to start with MEDA's goal is to transform agri-food systems and create job opportunities around the world, creating business solutions to poverty. And its vision is that all people may experience God's love and unleash their potential to earn a livelihood, provide for families, and enrich their communities. So, with that, I'd like to introduce us. I'm Shirley Redekop. I'm an Associate Development Officer at MEDA. And since we were giving a little bit of background, and we always like to know our Freundschaft in some ways, is I'm Shirley Redekop. My husband, speaking of pastors, was a pastor at Floridale Mennonite Church for 25 years. And that might trigger some, Fred Redekop. And he was also at Poole Mennonite in the Millbank area in Poole for around 5 years. And he just retired and is working on that from March and doing some volunteer positions at the thrift store and at the Mennonite story. But for myself, I'm not quite ready to retire yet. I've been blessed that I can have this position as part-time, so I can be semi-retired. And I have such a passion that I want to keep sharing about MEDA. I've known about MEDA for many years. I've worked now there for a little over 3 years, but I've gone to the conventions and things before that because we were invited. So that's a little bit about me. I'm actually from Pennsylvania, another little tidbit there. Came from Pennsylvania 30 years ago, so I feel like a Canadian. I'm dual. So anyway, Lynn, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
So you might look at my name and think, what's this Romanole doing in the Mennonite environment? Anyhow, I didn't grow up in the Mennonite environment, but my husband and I started going to Breslau Mennonite Church, and we've been there, ever since we were married, 26 years or so. So it feels right. And MEDA feels right as well. I like the idea that people have to give effort and participate in a program. It's not just a handout. They have to do something to contribute to get the help and support. And I was born near Stratford, Shakespeare, Ontario, and grew up in Dairy Farm, and I don't work for MEDA, I'm a volunteer.
I was going to say, she's a volunteer with our WOO group, Women Empowering Women, who get together to learn more about MEDA and support MEDA. So Lynn and her husband are great supporters of MEDA. So this morning, what we will be doing, we want to share with you about the MEDA project we visited in Guatemala back in January. We'll show a short video first, introducing MEDA called About Us. Gives you a little bit more background of MEDA. And then we'll show a slide presentation on our GDE, Global Development Experience to the project, WE4CA in Guatemala. And we'll end with another video from that project, the woman who we partnered with down in Guatemala. And we'll hopefully have some time for questions and answers, and we also have a lot of things up here you'll have time to look at. So, we can get started.
Imagine a world where failure isn't an option, where there are no second chances because there is no other choice, where success is paramount, even when faced with economic instability, political fragility, and inequality. Entrepreneurs who exist in these environments can work their hardest with all of the knowledge and determination they possess and still struggle to get by. At MEDA, we imagine a different world. MEDA partners with entrepreneurs around the globe to build sustainable businesses that create opportunities for families to give their children a better future. Alongside local partners, we support women, men and youth to move into valuable and equitable roles that aren't dependent on aid, so they can become agents of change and leaders in their community. For over 65 years, we have been global leaders in economic development, providing financial services, impact investment, improved technology, business training, and better access to markets for those who have skills but need some extra support for their businesses to flourish and succeed long term. Our focus on business and systems within the agricultural sector is what sets us apart, striving to help people achieve a decent job, one that provides dignity, equality, a fair income, and safe working conditions. Through partnerships with private and institutional donors, millions of people have been given the tools they need, so they are empowered not just to meet basic needs, but to earn a livelihood, grow their business, and create a sustainable future for themselves, their families, and their communities. MEDA. It's more than aid. It's investment in people. It's business solutions to poverty.
How many people have known about MEDA or have heard about MEDA? I thought maybe there's a few, quite a few. Okay, we will get into our slide presentation. I might be able, if it does work. Oh, you have it. Or do you want to do it?
No, I can't do two things at one time. It's too hard. And MEDA stands for MEDA Economic Development Associates. Never said that. Okay, so we're going to talk about our Guatemala learning tour. So in Guatemala, as Shirley said, we went there as a group last year, but I was able to see with my own eyes how my Canadian dollars are empowering Indigenous women and girls. Mind you, boys and men benefit too. For 7 days in January 2025, Shirley and 2 other MEDA staff led our group of supporters from Canada and the US on a tour of a project that MEDA supports in Guatemala. To be clear, we non-MEDA staff pay our own ways, and we are happy to pay a premium for the unusual and enriching experiences that we will remember for a long time. I will start with an overview of the trip, and Shirley will explain what MEDA is helping with in rural areas. And she'll add that as well. So this is our group that we traveled with, and we all got along very well, even though it was a mixture of Canadians and Americans. So it was a good mixture. And Guatemala is an extraordinary country. So there's volcanoes, fertile soil, earthquakes, violent crime. A series of 27 volcanoes are visible and sometimes active in Guatemala. You've probably seen the Fuego volcano this past year. It's been very active, as have many other volcanoes in the world. I'll show you a slide of it sleeping outside of one of our hotels a bit later. As a result of volcanic activity, fertile soil is abundant on the slopes and in the valleys. Corporate plantations, often non-unionized, on the Pacific coast, take advantage of the excellent growing conditions and ship products to foreign markets. So you can see this map back here. So this map kind of shows Guatemala. Mexico is up just straight north of it. Belize is here, Honduras is here. But this coastal area, the plains, you see there's no roads there. That's where the plantations like Chiquita, there's coffee plantations and Starbucks gets coffee from. So that area, it's kind of corporate. And they ship things to foreign markets. But in contrast, the local and indigenous people use hand tools and their bags on their smaller plots inland. Land rights, deforestation, and labor issues impact indigenous communities negatively and regularly. So earthquakes have changed many parts of the country. Most of the structures in the old capital city of Antigua were badly damaged in the 1770s, and Guatemala City became the new capital. Tourists are warned about the violent crime in parts of the bigger cities. And lately I've heard a lot of Guatemala City having some kind of serious crime. The shops in Guatemala City had armed security people at the doors. However, we felt safe at all times and were taken to more rural areas for our learning. So next slide. Okay, so here's MEDA's involvement in Latin America.
I can say, MEDA has gone to a 4 regions model, and so we're Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and in Latin America, Caribbean, and the Philippines and parts of Asia, they're building at that part. And then the headquarters actually is here in Waterloo on Parkside. But in Latin America, we're talking about Guatemala and the project we have there. We had a new project starting in Honduras called OCIDA. We do some work in Nicaragua. Sometimes we do impact investing and not always just projects. But there is, the W4CA is doing some work in there too. And in Haiti we are working up, but unfortunately it was sponsored and by USAID. And as we all know, when USAID was finished, we had to close the project in Haiti. The Haitian man who worked with that, he's still working, and we're hoping to keep things kind of going in there. But we do need to get the institutional donor to match that. So we'll see where that comes out at. So, but we still do know the people. That was a really good project, really working with very low income, especially women in the rural areas. Okay, in Guatemala, the project is March 22nd to August 26th. It is winding down. Even Global Affairs Canada is shifting how they are doing funding now. So they're working in different ways. So the project will probably be winding down a little bit earlier, but we've been there a while, and that's how MEDA works. We go in and we have the projects, and we hire for people there, and partner with the partners within the country, and then it can keep going. So it's not like the project's going to stop. It will keep going. As you hear who we partnered with is really valuable. So this one, to give you an idea, for this project, $250,000 is coming from MEDA supporters, private donations, and that unlocks the funding from our institutional. So we talk about, we need our private sponsors to put skin in the game so we can unlock the funding when we get from like Global Affairs Canada, from the Gates Foundation, and different places like that. What's also really exciting in how they're working with, we have an average of, we've got, the impact is like 5 times to, we've had up to 20 times from what you get as our private donors give. That will, the institutional will like 20 times that. So it really is good funding model that way. Where are we going? And we talked about partnership. Wakami is who we'll talk about more today because we've met with them most, but we did meet with some of the Pro-Mejor and also Friendship Bridge that do go out into the rural areas, indigenous areas, and work with the women. So we partner with them, and then the funding comes in, and it's people who live in the country. That, and our leadership is there too, is how they hire. So these are how we work together to build and keep building the projects with the women and the men and youth.
Okay. And I'll show you the itinerary we did on this tour to visit these different projects. So in this big map back here, let's see this. Okay, we landed in Guatemala City, And then we traveled out into the highland areas. There's some big lakes there, volcanic lakes. And then we spent most of our time there, but then the last couple of days, the last 2 days, we took a plane up to the Tikal area. And we'll be showing you a bit of that as well, where they have the Mayan ruins. Okay, so leaving, yeah, it's kind of over there. Okay, so leaving Guatemala City, we took a private chicken, no, we didn't take a private chicken bus. What am I saying? Here's a picture of a private chicken bus. We didn't take it because we later learned that there was a big crash off the road and 55 people were killed. So MEDA was advised not to take chicken buses. But you saw them everywhere, very colorful, very creative. And they were actually school buses that in North America, our school buses wear out. Then in Central America, they'll buy the school buses and get them all painted up and get lights and everything else there. So they're kind of local transport for local people. Anyway, our bus, an amazing driver, took us first to Antigua. Antigua is a very nice old city, and we had, our hotel was the Hotel Real in Antigua. If you go on MEDA trips, you'll find that the accommodations are very, very nice. And so you can see the volcano I was talking about, Fuego. It's covered by clouds, but it would be over here. And so from our hotel roof, you could see that, and they would say almost every month you might see the volcanoes spurt a little bit, but we didn't when we were there. We were kind of disappointed. But you notice all these houses on the side of that volcano. I'll talk about them in a minute. Okay, so San Jose Cathedral, we saw lots of churches. Some were shells after earthquakes, but this one was quite pretty and lit up at night. And then we met Maria. Sure, I'll tell you about Maria.
Maria Pacheco. What MEDA does in a quick way, of course it's bigger than that, but MEDA does not go in and say, we're going to start a project here or here or here. They do find like small business people or someone who's building up within the country, and often some of the staff in those countries will say, we met this person and they just need a bit of a hand up to continue and meet and be able to then hire many others, or in some cases working with the farmers and getting from them. Like in some places, there's an African one where a woman started a yogurt business, and she was just very small, but she was buying the milk from the indigenous women who had 1 cow, 2 cows along that line. And so she was just doing it small. Someone came across her name's African Joy. Sorry, I'm getting away. I get too excited about stories. And MEDA heard about that and went in and helped her get bigger machines to do her yogurt and grow that. Now, those indigenous women, some of them have 4 or 5 cows. Then they helped that they could have a refrigerated place they could bring it to, so they didn't have to carry their milk the whole way to African Joy's place. And building from there. And it's really an exciting story, but I'm getting off track here. So Maria Pacheco was someone along that line. She has a really built up business that she did about 20 years ago. She's Guatemalan, but her father was a pediatrician who got trained in the US, so she lived there for a while, went back, and she would see these women coming down with their sick children coming to the clinic, and she saw one of the children die on the way, and she said, something's wrong here. She went out to the villages and said, how can we help you here? You need more nutrition. It's the nutrition thing we need to build on. And so the women were doing all kinds of crafts, and they said, we love doing these crafts and things, but we have no market to take it to or to do with, and we're way up here. So Maria, who had some funding herself, she was from a good more wealthy family and things, she started building that up and finding others that could help her with that, and was finding some market to sell these bracelets and building up what people are looking for in North America and around the world. So she was already having some of that going, but she had dreams of making this much bigger. So that's someone that MEDA then said, let's partner. How can we keep this going? And that was a while ago. MEDA's gone into more agribusiness. So the exciting part about this, as we go along, you'll hear how we adjusted into with this same project.
She's Wakami.
Her name of her business is Wakami. Did you want to do that?
I do have that. So Maria, we met Maria. She was really warm and very ordinary, personable, but you could tell she was ambitious and she had, her mind was going all the time. But one of her sayings was that dreams are big, but opportunities are scarce. So the outline of the country, the population is 17 million. I'm not sure what it is today, but at that time, they've had 3 decades of violent civil war, not only in the cities, but out in the rural areas as well. Now, it's remittances. That's where their husbands or their young men would go up to the States to work as foreign workers and then send money home. And at that time when we were there, the remittances made up 30% of the GDP. Huge, it's huge. And that's why we could see so many women and girls kind of on their own, because their men were away working in the US. Now, of course, when we were coming back, we came back in like March this year, and on the plane, there'd be Trump was starting to send back some of the foreign workers. So it's probably quite different culture now that their men are back. So that's why MEDA has to be conscious of that too, that how can we help support the men as well in these families. Because the machista attitude, girls don't need to be educated, that is what they've all grown up with. A lot of teen pregnancies, Maria found, and many of them would drop out of school after 5 years because they were told, oh no, your role is to have children. Malnutrition, yes, because of a shortage, a lack of education about what to grow as well as what nutrients are in foods. And then the poverty, 70% of jobs informal and low waged, and that's what happens in many of the Central American countries. Next one. Go ahead.
Okay. So what Maria started was to find some ways to get their handiwork out, but also saw we need to work with the young girls, the children, the families themselves. So she started, we'll see a little bit later, some girls club to build up the girls and teach them. They can have dreams too. And also worked with, to get back. Some of this has been going 20 years. It's probably gonna be somewhere else, but some of these women, their daughters now have graduated university and are working like as social workers and different ways. Some have come back to help and build up too. So there's exciting things happening. Within these helping and building up for nutrition-wise and helping with these gardens, and as we'll see later, what really hit me, the malnutrition was reduced from 50% to 5% within her project area. And the average schooling has gone up 4.8 years to 9 years. Teen pregnancies have been reduced. We have the machista attitude. Some of the men, there was a great story, it's going to be too long for me to tell, of a man who didn't want his wife to go out and learn these things and stuff, and then saw the money she was bringing in, and now he's a champion and tries to tell the other men, and that's changing too. So that they're changing within their families that way. And so there's new income generation happening, coffee, chickens, vegetable gardens, and banana fibers. We'll see some more of this. This is a regenerative farming project. It's like 2 hectares, I think, or around 2 hectares that they got to teach people to say, new ways of doing their land, that they don't, like the pesticides and things like that, that they're trained in doing, that is not working. So how do we do regenerative farming? So this is like a learning spot and also a little research area. It's really cool about learning new ways and with environmental changes and things like that of what works. So what they do is they have some chickens there, and the chickens, their droppings, they're showing, and she was so excited to talk about this. I wish she was here, oh man, of how, and then building up that way and teaching it more, you can see on there. They are teaching, use these, because they don't have a lot of land where they live. It's just maybe half an acre or not even that. And so how do they do that? And it's dry now too. So they're teaching of learning these little plots, and how are they called?
Square foot gardens.
Square foot gardens, yeah. And testing new seeds and what grows the best and things like that. And also the irrigation system, the drip irrigation, you can see on there, this more simple way, how it can change. And that's where we're talking about the malnutrition has changed on this as they're growing in this way. And then the chickens. Just a quick, what MEDA helped out with the chickens, this is how MEDA got into more of the agribusiness side of it, and Maria had these dreams, and she was able we were able to help her with this. MEDA helps with their first flock of chickens, and then from there, they have to buy the feed and the enclosures. This is where on this little research area, and they have the chickens there, and they find out which are the best chickens to raise and along that line too. And those chickens then go into the fields, and they show how it regenerates also. They allow the chickens free roam outside of this. And so they get their flock of chickens and can take them back, and then they're laying eggs, they can feed them, and as they go more, they're selling them. And now there's a woman that her whole business is selling the chickens to other farmers and women. So that's how it builds. And this guy was so great. He was so proud of his chickens that he's taking care of.
So it was like a research farm, I guess you might say, this little area we saw. And so they were researching and experimenting with the chicken breeds and the plants that they put in square foot gardens. And then also they had this little plastic area built, like a little greenhouse type thing where they could dry coffee beans, undercover. And then they were getting, learning about that as well, as to how to make coffee beans, good for export or good to sell and drink. Okay. So, and we did a lot of things too. We climbed up this mountainside, and but you'd see, women there too. So then we were off to lunch, and we ate in local restaurants. Typical things, lots of vegetables, fresh vegetables, just delicious. Rice, beans, tortillas.
And then we came back to, it's called a dream circle. One of the trips I went before went out into the villages, but safety and some of those issues was kind of an iffy, and time-wise. So some of these women came down, one of their first times to come down to the city, and came down, and they hold these dream circles. And we were asked to be part of that. They put out a paper, and you draw what your dreams are. And they say, whatever, open them up, your dreams. And we will go from there. And so we ourselves were told to sit and do our dreams. Wow. And then they did share after that. It was a powerful, people were in tears and just to listen. And then we heard the stories of some of these women that have been doing this for 20 years and how it's changed their lives and their families' lives along that line. So that was a really powerful one. Do you have any personal?
Well, I was going to say it was kind of unique to watch because if we all gave you a piece of paper to draw your dreams, like, what would you draw anymore? Because you already achieved your dreams, you know? Whereas the girls, they might draw a house, and you might draw a pet, or a dog or something. Like, it's just totally different than what, you know, where we are. Just,
And many of them was to get their children into school and that they could not have to live like they do. And it's happening. I don't think the picture's in here, but there is this one woman named Marla who's now helping, being a big leader. And I think 2 or all 3 of her daughters now are out of university. And their dream was to be able to do that. And someone was to dream just to build a bigger house or a nicer house that they didn't have much. So the dreams were from very, very simple to higher. And that was very powerful moments, the personal side of that, to hear that.
go one more. Oh, okay. Marla.
Oh, okay. That was Marla's story, what I talked about a little bit more.
So Marla was that short lady that we saw in that picture before. Married young, machista community, daughters, start with a dream. And anyway, she has some small dreams. So Marla, quite a little tiny thing, but quite a forward thinker. But she looked for things in the environment. Like this is a stalk of a banana plant. So that's what the stalk would look like. And then she had this rack thing that she put up against a tree, and then she'd start to kind of comb the fibers and keep combing down these fibers. And then they get the fibers, and these long fibers, and they had this long, what do you call that, the spindle or whatever,
Yeah.
spinning these long fibers, and then they would dye them, and then they'd make them into stuff. So, for example, this bag doesn't look great, but with Maria's help and Wakami, they tried to make fibers into things that might sell, you know, in 10,000 villages or wherever. And so came up with some products that were quite appealing. And then even, this isn't banana fibers, but this kind of idea, they weave cotton into something that people might want to buy. And that's Marla. I said Marla was short. Like she was one of the ones that didn't have a lot to eat when she was growing up. So a little tiny thing.
I'm just going to quickly say something in between here with this that just happened at a convention that I heard of someone who was able to come. And it was someone from 10,000 villages from the States, where there's still lots of stores. And he had heard, and I had met with someone from 10,000 and said they were going to Guatemala to have seminars or conference themselves, 10,000 villages, and said, go to the Wakami store and meet Maria. And this is how it goes on. Our project is closing, but 10,000 villages now, by meeting with her just a few weeks ago, or months ago maybe it was, they are now buying things from her store. So those are some of the things of how we talk about how it continues on.
Okay, then we talked about how we stay in nice places. So outside of Atchison, we stayed in this beautiful hotel. You see there's 3 volcanoes in the distance there. And the next one. And so that's 3 of us. That's all right. We had some relaxing time too in a hot tub. Then this one, this is a boat. It's actually a boat.
Yeah, we went to another area that they were working in, and we have MEDA. I like this one because they put MEDA on the front of this boat. It was an interesting ride. It was pretty choppy there for a bit. It was like on went on, I said in like a roller coaster ride or something like that, but it was fun. So we went over across to the other side to meet with to see a girls' club.
I'm going to say one more thing about the lake that we went across. This boat driver was going like crazy. And so we started out in the boat, and nobody had their life jackets on. So then my husband, he doesn't swim very well, so he grabs the life jackets down. We all put our life jackets on because we're speeding along. Like it's really bumpy. And this lake was a volcano that had exploded, and apparently all the soil from it and ash went up to the Yucatan Peninsula, which kind of built the Yucatan Peninsula. Anyways, beautiful, deep, deep lake.
So this was Chuckmuck, and we got off at Chuckmuck, and we got tuk-tuks in Chuckmuck. I love saying that. Tuk-tuks to Chuckmuck. And this is a girls' acceleration program, as you can see, in alliance with it, and the different partnerships that help with this for under Wakami, under Maria's organization.
So there's 13 girls clubs, 300 girls, scholarships for 160 girls and boys come out of it, and the boys clubs are starting as well.
So this is the group we met, these girls, and they all dressed up in their different villages outfits, and we're so happy to be there. And they were sharing with us. And I'm not sure, we do have the dream side of it, but they also share with them and do dreams with the girls, but they also say these girls come and fair amount have been abused, and they say that they build them up and build their confidence, and to watch them be friends with each other so much and helping each other. There was one girl that she pointed out, said they just found out her situation, and she's been very closed off and shy, but she got up and did her dream. I mean, they were amazed what was happening there with that. So they did a song for us too, and some other things.
And there's a classroom that was kind of wide open. It was just kind of four walls. And then so each girl would get up and tell us, like they were quite confident to tell a group of people they didn't know about their dreams. And they'd be translated by the teacher. This gal was really cute. And the next one.
Yeah, they would go anywhere, doctor to, well, I'll wait for the next one, but others to, one was said, I want to be a farmer. It's like, yeah. And some of the other things that they had their own dreams, and it was really neat. And they were big dreams, but they say we do not tell them that they can't get to that dream, and you work at it that way.
So this gal, she got up to do her dreams, and she was telling us she wanted to be a veterinarian. And in trots this dog from outside, and everybody laughed. Anyways.
And she even looked surprised. It was so cute. It was just like, just what she said, I want to be a veterinarian, and boom, here comes the dog. It was so cute. We played a game with them and had some fun. And we went out and did some of the garden plots with the girls, and we had all different kinds of plants, and it has named the plants, and we planted it together with them behind the school. So those were a learning side of that too. And they provided us with a snack, lunch, Tostitos with different toppings, and they were so proud to give that to us. And the other thing they gave us, apparently Chuckmuck and that area is with hummingbirds. That's what it means, or some of that long line. So the girls gave us each a little hummingbird from beads that were done out of beads. And we think they may have made them, or at least their families and things. So that was really personal on that side too.
Anybody know what that translates to?
Las mujeres tenemos los mismos derechos que los hombres.
Women have the same rights as
Good for you.
Women has the same rights as men, is what it said on the poster on the wall. And so then we went back into Antigua, and we went to the shop, the Wakami shop that that Maria had built up. And in that, she has the front, there's a store, we'll tell you that there's a store, but behind that is all these training rooms. There was the bracelet making that they can show you back there, and it's for people coming too, you can see what it is. But there's other rooms of training and things too, and we each did a bag, what's that called? Print?
The screen print kind of
Screen
thing?
print. That one room had a screen printing, and they let us teach screen print, so they're teaching a lot of different things that way too. So we met other people here, and we met some women. This little girl, she was dynamic. She said, "I'm so proud of my mom," and I think she wanted to be a teacher or something along that line. But she was so, and she said she's so proud of her mom. We heard the stories there of the dynamic changes that were made in people's lives, in the women's lives.
And so in the store, I think some of you were looking at these little salt and pepper shakers. These aren't a MEDA product, but it's Wakami. So Wakami is trying to create objects that will appeal to tourists. And that's a hand-woven cloth, and these little salt and pepper shakers. And the bracelets are too.
And of course, I'm wearing the bracelets too. And the bracelets all have little stories to them. One of the bracelet sets said dreams, and the dreams are, and what I'm wearing one that has a little house with a window, having a house with a window. Another one is the world, and the other one is the world that we make it a better place. Another one is a table that we can all sit together and eat together and be with our family. They have it written up in Spanish, so you can. And there was one on the earth, different things on the earth and things like that in the sun. So they have done it up really, really nicely, and you can get things at that store.
And Wakami has a great website as well. And bracelets are a big deal for younger ones. Like, maybe not so much for us, but younger generation, they all these bracelets and they sell.
And then some of the other Promovere and the other partners, we went to someplace. This woman runs a co-op that the women can come and bring their things they've made and get together there. Some of the thing is just these women getting together and sharing together, and they talk about they found other friends. They could have someone to talk with. And she was a real dynamic woman in the shop, too.
And they preserve their language that way as well. This is one little, this is all hand, done, it's a little card, but all hand stitched with dye fibers.
And I have a pair of earrings there that I bought at this place.
And we certainly had suppers together. It was a nice group to hang out with in the evenings, and beautiful places, traditional food. Okay, and then as I said about the last day, we flew to Tikal, and that's where the Mayan ruins are. So we wandered through the Tikal area, and just amazing, this civilization that was there millions of years ago, and then it just disappeared. And then all kinds of monkeys, and the howler monkeys were amazing. Has anyone ever heard the howler monkeys? Yeah. They were something else.
One of the person on our group, she's from Goshen. When we went through the howler monkeys and she thought it was Jurassic Park, and they had just put that in there while we were walking. I was like, no, we are in a park that is natural. And she did not want to believe it until, it was hilarious. She's like, no, they just had that, amplified.
And so I read too that in the Mayan area. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but the healthy forests have grown over most of the 300 BC Mayan temples in the 145,000 acre ancient city site. So we saw a few. They've unearthed several of them, and they're respecting them and preserving them as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. People and spider monkeys were climbing all over them, and we were imagining what it might have been like to live there a long time ago. So this is a photo of the time we're there. At the time, it was International Women's Day. So here we see these women on their way to the future, dressed in their traditional clothing. Then, before we go to the last video, I don't know what time we cover.
Do you have some time?
It's not
Oh, yeah.
28, but I don't know what time it is.
10 to 12.
10 to 12, okay. Well, anyway, Wakami, we talked about Wakami, and it's a well thought out, I wouldn't call it business necessarily, but an organization. And so they had this Wakami manifesto written in their shop. And I just want to read it out loud because it's good. Wakami's manifesto. We are the citizens of the world. We believe that a better world is possible and that global change begins at home. We dream of living in a world of unity, of equality, a world of connection. We love the earth and admire all of the volcanoes, trees, and every single color of the flowers that exist on it. We believe in the power of dreams, and we know that collective dreams are unstoppable. We choose to live a life of purpose, and we know that our actions can build the world in which we want to live in. We know that working in collaboration with others makes everything possible. We believe in peace, gratitude, purpose, and in hope. We are the citizens of the world. So, anyway, I thought that it's a nice, anyone's copy of it is up here.
If you're able to put on, we have one little video when to your end of that. I'm just going to give a little bit about, there's some Marketplace magazines up here. Maybe some of you get the Marketplace. It has business stories from North America and also of projects. It's business solutions to poverty, and so this is business and faith together is how it was starting, to have business and faith together, how to do that. The other thing is, I'm good.
We might want to skip that actually.
There's a Connect With Us here that has how you can get to the website and to some of the other sites on there. We just recently opened a Christmas gift catalog that we have in here. If you have grandkids, or if somebody doesn't know what to get you, maybe you can say, hey, just donate to, donate to something for MEDA in here. There's an insert in it too that you can put on, you can do it online also, but there's an insert in here and it gives the different things you can check off. And if you want to mail it in, you have to use the same address. The envelopes that were with this, we didn't get it mailed to us. So just redo the same address that's up in the corner. If you would like to look at that or ask more questions, there's a couple books here that David, her husband, made up from the trip. And if you want to talk about anything, please come and talk to us about it.
We're going to skip the video because so much is.
We're going to skip it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the video basically, it's Maria telling the story of what we basically just told you, but she says it in such a good way of that. We were just going to redo that. But we'd like if you have some questions, we're ready for that. If I can't answer them, I will make sure you get them somehow. And yes, thank you for having us here. Thank you for listening and hearing about what MEDA does and its mission and its vision to create business solutions to poverty. Thank you.